what's up? Welcome back to another edition of the Mandatory Live. Remember, if you like the content, hit that like and subscribe button. Also follow us on our social media channels. We're at the Mandatory TKO. And wherever you find your shows, podcasts, wherever you stream them, you can find us there as well because we are on the audio side. And if you got a couple of minutes, leave a rate and review. Maybe give us a 5-star because why wouldn't you? But nonetheless, lots to get into. We do want to thank you for rocking with the show, as I mentioned before. And if you already hit that like and subscribe button. But Bryan, we had to do the show because you were at the fight this past weekend. You were covering it. And listen, this fight went how I think a lot of people didn't really envision it. I'm talking about the main event, Gervonta, Tank Davis, and Lamont Roach. This fight ended with a little bit of controversy with the majority draw. So we are going to break it all down, talk about what's next, which of course, I think we kind of know what's next. But nonetheless, Bryan, you were at the fight. So let's start off there really quickly. What was the vibe like? Because there were a lot of, I guess some people saying that the vibe was kind of off for Tank.
For Tank, yeah. I thought you meant for the arena because I was going to go in a whole different direction.
Well, you could do both. Tell us, man. For the people that weren't there, we want to know.
there's
And
a
by
really
yeah,
there's a really good joke somebody told me about the atmosphere of the arena that I cannot. We have to do it off air, unfortunately. It's a really good joke. Um, there's a lot of people. I'll put it to you this way: a lot of people try to wear their best stuff.
is it
This
not their best stuff though? Does it come off as corny?
comes off as revealing. That's what I'll
Okay.
say.
Okay. I get what you're trying to say here. I'm picking up what you're dropping.
Yeah, some people, not everybody, and then a lot of people, they're having a good time. Lines were long for a lot of shit, um, and boxing has progressively done. What I'll say is like, as far as, and people won't care about this part, but I'm going to say it anyway because self involvement. But like, as far as media treatment, could be better. And when I started covering, I've been covering boxing long enough to know that when I started covering it, you were actually ringside at Barclays Center, where the rows are like right there next to the ring, and now they've moved the fans up because they want to charge fans a lot more money for those seats. It's kind of like why fans have courtside seats now when media used to be there. It's just a money thing, and then they've moved some media back. But anyway, as far as the vibe for Tank, to answer the important part of your question, yeah, he seemed off to me. Um, in the fight itself, like leading up to it, I can't really tell. In the media workout, he did not participate, but I also could chalk that up to Tank being Tank. Media workout, for people who don't know, because we didn't do a show. We actually no, we did do a show after this, but we didn't talk about it a lot. Media workout is basically something you do the week of the fight, and they had it at Gleason's gym, which is customary for PBC cards at Barclays Center. They'll use Gleason's gym, which is a gym in Brooklyn, legendary gym. Paulie Malignaggi trained there, Heather Hardy trained there. A whole bunch of fighters, Yuri Foreman. There are a lot better ones too that I could mention that I'm not really thinking of right now, but world champions have trained there. And the idea is you go into this scrum, you go into a media workout, like you get into the ring, you shadow box, you hit pads or whatever, and then you do a media scrum after, then you leave. Tank, he did just the interview that you do before all this with the PBC guy, so not with the media. He did the interview in the ring. He showed up in a wrinkly ass gray hoodie and pink sweats. He honestly looked like he just woke up from a nap. So he did the interview and just left. He didn't do media workout. He didn't do the press conference or the media scrum. And people who watch the live stream probably know this, but like all week, it's just kind of felt like, all right, like maybe Tank is going to do the Tank thing. And that never happened on fight night. It was weird.
It's kind of interesting, but I feel like even heading towards this fight, there was a little bit of controversy. Like at one point, Tank said the fight was off. And then we get into the fight, and Tank's talking about retiring possibly. Like there's
Yeah.
so many factors going into this fight. And then also, he's not only just training with Calvin Ford, right? He also has another trainer in his corner, and Barry Hunter. And this is the thing about it, is that I think we've been so used to seeing a guy like Calvin Ford with Gervonta Tank Davis. And let's be serious here, when you switch trainers, it's not always going to be the same.
Not a switch.
Well, not switch, but like
According
not having your main trainer. Like
they
they'll
were,
tell you
because they were there, both of them, and they try to clear this up
in the corner
in the
too, both of them in the corner. Which, by the way, this is my only point. When there's too many voices in that corner, that's not a good thing. And you can play it off for like the media and the fans to be like,
Sure.
no, we're working together. This is a team effort. Like, you know how that goes, Bryan.
Calvin Ford would say that the dynamic was unchanged. To what degree is that true? I don't know. Like, there are people online speculating that there's friction between Calvin Ford and Gervonta Davis. I don't personally know, and I don't think they would tell us if that's the case either. So, like, that's just how that one goes. What I do know is that, and we'll get to some comments because we have a few already. Thank you for checking in. As always, like, comment, subscribe, super chats we will get to right away as well. Thank you for supporting. I think just Tank's performance itself felt off. He did the customary thing where he was very inactive in the first couple rounds, and then he started picking it up. But as he picked it up, like, he tried to get to his left uppercut and couldn't. There were certain things that he tried to implement that he just wasn't getting to. He was getting hit, I felt like, more often than normal. And Lamont Roach deserves a ton of credit for doing a really good job of making Tank uncomfortable and boxing in a way that really made this fight close. And really, if we're being real about it, Lamont Roach should have won because of the knockdown, if you will, or, Gervonta Davis, the controversy around him, taking a knee and it not being called a knockdown at round 9. Like, mathematically, Lamont Roach wins that fight if that's called a knockdown, and that's a big swing there because 2 judges had that round going to Tank, whereas it should have been 10-8 for Lamont Roach the entire way. Just a weird night. It felt like when Tank was going to do the thing where it's like, all right, now he started to pick it up or whatever. And it felt like that in the middle of the rounds. And we were watching the fight being like, yo, Lamont Roach, like, if he's going to win this and get a fair shake from the judges, he needs to get more active with his hands. He needs to throw a little bit more. And then Tank ends up kind of like not being as active as you want him to be on a consistent basis. Like, he does it in spurts. And the power felt like it was there to some extent, but then Lamont Roach would take all these punches well. So it's just a weird performance, and I don't know how the second fight's going to play out. WBA is apparently going to, request that this is the rematch, but Gervonta Davis said in the press conference that this fight's probably not going to happen until 2026, and that we're going to find out soon what his next move is, because he's saying, hey, we're actually going to somebody came into my locker and we're gonna fight, somebody else next, and it wasn't Shakur Stevenson. Just fucking weird. Just an entirely weird and ominous night, honestly.
Yeah, going back to the Calvin Ford and Barry Hunter thing, I want to go back to everyone saying that there's some issues with Calvin Ford and Tank. Like, we don't know that. That's speculation. Also, when you're in a fight and you're in the corner, things can get heated, right? There were times where if you're watching on TV, you could hear that, Tank at one point, like, wasn't trying to have what they were saying. Like, he was saying what was going on too. Like, there's a little bit of back and forth. So I think that's really important. But going back to the fight, Bryan, like you talked about it, the knee that Tank took. When he explained it, though, you're like, okay, Tank's IQ is like pretty solid there. But if that was counted as a knockdown, for sure. But let's go back to the fight, because I actually watched the fight back 3 times, and I had Lamont Roach winning 7 rounds to 5.
Okay.
And so
you're not alone. You're not alone.
I actually had Lamont Roach winning that fight, and I tried to score it 3 times, and I got the same thing 3 times. So to me, Tank didn't win that fight, but hey, there's always that one fight on a boxer's record where it's questionable, and this is going to be Tank's. I hate to say it, right? It's going to be a majority draw on his record, but it's going to be that one fight where everyone, boxing fans, purists, whatever you want to call it, it's like, well, I don't know if he won that fight. Now, here's the thing. I think Tank should avenge this loss. Like, I think that's the number one thing that he should do, because this is the first time.
To be fair.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, majority.
It should have been a loss.
Yeah, I think we all kind of know that. But I mean, I think Tank should avenge it and he should shut everyone up, because I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. After, like, let's give big props to Lamont Roach. I think everyone had him possibly getting knocked out in this fight.
Yeah.
And he kept on telling us, like, yo, I've known Tank for a while. We fought in the amateurs. Even when we fought in the amateurs, I didn't get a fair shake.
Yeah.
They went to the boxing commission and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Lamont Roach showed up, took some big shots from Tank, and also landed some big shots on Tank. Like Tank's, I think there was one punch specifically where Tank's legs were definitely wobbly. I'm not the one where he took a knee, but that could have been it
I
too.
know what you're talking about. It
But
was the right hand. Caught
yeah,
it partially caught him, like, he was kinda off balance too, like, with his footwork.
yeah,
Because
but it caught him. It definitely caught him.
in the moment, it looked like he wobbled him bad, but then when I watched it again, I was like, "Oh, his feet just don't look, like, totally under him." Because then after he
Yeah,
took the shot, he was fine. He was moving around fine. So, I
yeah,
don't know.
but
It was still like,
I still think it was a big shot.
Lamont Roach was landing on him, though. Like, that's kind of the point. Like,
100%.
he was way more impressive in this fight than Isak Cruz was against Tank, and we had this reaction like Isak Cruz, like, fucking knocked over, a mountain or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be after this fight. And Tank was hurt in that one. Wasn't hurt here, just his hair was bothering him, which
Okay, let's talk about that. I want to talk about that. I believe Tank about the hair grease. I
you're not
hate to say
alone.
it. I hate to say it, you guys. He's not lying there. Like that can really, like, that hurts. Imagine you're getting some type of product in your eye, right? Like I believe it. Like he's not gonna go there and just like talk some BS. I really believe that the hair grease was affecting his eyesight. Like, what did you think about that, Brian? Because like, who would pull that out of thin air?
I'm looking for this tweet right now. I'm gonna find it.
Okay.
So I can put this up. But there were a couple tweets about this where I was like, look, I believed him too, because it was like it was
No
funny
one's
because
gonna lie. That's like a weird thing to lie about. Like
he
I don't
said,
I don't think he lied about that at all. Like it's for real. Like also, have you ever gotten that in your eye
no,
or
because
any type of hair product in your eye? Like you used to have braids. Did you ever grease your scalp?
I didn't I didn't greet. No, I did use
You
that
should
braids
have. You should
long,
have greased
long,
your scalp.
long time ago. Let me just throw this up right here. We're gonna try screen share live, and we're gonna see if this works. So this is a tweet from Amanda Serrano, who, if you remember, people, Amanda Serrano said 1 year ago today. Could y'all see this? Y'all can see this, right? Okay. 1 year ago today, I had to cancel my homecoming fight in Puerto Rico for the same mistake, getting my hair done 2 days before and then it burning my eyes from a run before the fight. Never again. My natural hair is just fine, ladies. This was in reference to Gervonta Davis here, saying he took a knee because he had grease in his eye. And then also being like, when the crowd was booing the explanation, being like, yo, why y'all mad? Like I'm saying some bullshit, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, that was that.
But
I love that. I love that part actually. Like, why
but
y'all booing?
but Amanda Serrano was basically like, yo, like this happened to me. And I remember she came out with sunglasses and we were like, yo, is this fight gonna be canceled or whatever the case may be? Yeah, Arlanda, we're gonna get to that in a second because the hairdresser did respond, and now this is like Tank beefing with, the stylist. I don't know if hairdresser was insulting, I meant stylist. So there's that. And then this also from beforehand, Angel Reese, WNBA,
Yeah.
legitimate star. Whatever product they put in Gervonta's braids, never again, because why is it dripping down like that in his eyes? She tweeted this before he took a knee, and then said something else after, like I told y'all, like after he took a knee, like this was happening beforehand. So I found it
Oh.
very interesting. Like this is something you could see during the fight. I couldn't see it from where I was sitting. You know what I mean? If you're watching on TV, you have a better view a lot of different ways because you have TV cameras. I was actually sitting next to one of the hard cameras. So that's around where I was at. So that was the media seat that they gave me for this event. With Angel Reese saying this, I thought about it also. Like, yeah, that must be some serious ass shit. I do want to pull up what the hairstylist said, so I'm going to
I
pull that
want to
up.
see this too.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but
go
here's
ahead.
the thing. Like, do you think the hairstylist is just actually? I don't know, right? Like, if I'm a hairstylist and I'm Tank's hairstylist, like, I'm not trying to mess that up. Like, I believe Tank, and it's kind of like this, guys. You know when you're like washing your hair, you ever get soap in your eyes? like, I mean, like, you know what I'm talking about? You ever get soap in your eyes? It's happened before. It's like that. Imagine having a fight and getting soap in your eyes. How would you continue on? Drop your comments below. Let us know if you actually believe this. I do, because I feel like it's like such a weird thing to lie about, to be honest with you. Let's get to some comments while Bryan definitely tries to find the hairstylist. Mark says Roach hit him with the right hook and a braid flew in his eye. He dapped his eye, then took a knee. Okay. Okay. Let's go to You Don't Want to
It
Try
didn't look
Me.
like it was from a punch.
Yeah.
It
Might
didn't
have
look like
been a delayed reaction to the punch Roach landed previously, but don't matter. He took a knee. Dudes fight with blood leaking into their eyes. This is true. This is true. Um, but I also think blood is a little bit, well, they're both bad. Like, what am I saying here? Someone's eye can be bloody as hell. Like, their whole face can be bloody as hell. Mark, the braid hit his eye before Roach double jabbed. Okay, interesting. Marlon 2631, a good friend of the show. The woman said different. Tank is lying. Like, who do we believe here? This is so much drama and so much tea. I love it. You
Here
know,
we
like,
go.
who's telling the truth here? Oh, one more comment before you hit that. Did
Mhm.
we read this one? Orlando, I don't. His hairdresser came out claiming she didn't use anything that would cause that. She even posted the bottle. Check it out.
Yeah. No, it's
Okay.
here. It's here. So, and this is the part where I'm like, I'm not an expert in fucking hair and grease and all this shit. Because look, the braids,
Bryan used to have braids, y'all.
the
Okay,
braids
he used to
that's
rock the braids with a Jets jersey.
the braids
Who's
she's referred to. I was 17. This is 2011. I was 17 years old. So you could do the math. Um, so this is the post from the hairstylist. I think this is yeah, at Lieb or Liebe the brand. Sorry for not getting the name correct, but like this is not my world here. Okay. Take a look around. You see an overload of grease anywhere? Question mark. Newsflash, you're not. I feel like that's something that could be hidden, but regardless, she is out here defending herself. This is the one that's really like, I think Gervonta Davis should answer for, where she's like, I did his hair Wednesday, so not Thursday. It's Saturday. He did press, gym, and weigh in. That's no excuse. How much grease did I use? Damn.
Hey, here's the thing. Do you
And
think he also greased his scalp himself?
well,
Because usually you gotta grease it yourself
he
too.
said he put some water on it earlier that day on Saturday. And to be fair, like I'm thinking about it now, Wednesday at the media workout, his hair did look done, but he
Yeah,
also had a hat on. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I don't really know what the process here. So here we go. She's reposting somebody saying, like, don't make my girl the reason for it being a draw. The grease in question, and then you could see here it's like some conditioning shining.
Mm.
Chantel, I might have to toss it to you because I don't know what any of this shit means.
Well, it is the grease that you put on your scalp, right? So, because you don't want your scalp to look dry if you got braids like that.
Sure.
So you're gonna grease your scalp, like if you have any type of braids, right? Because you don't want I was gonna cuss a little bit, but you don't want it to look dry.
You
So
cook. I know. I get it. You're on TV, but like I do TV stuff too. I could, but the thing is,
I
how?
do cuss sometimes. Like I catch myself cussing on here sometimes, and I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, why did I do that the next after? But
you're
nonetheless,
more formal on TV. I don't have to be. That's the
yeah,
difference.
I have to be. I don't have a choice. I will say one thing though is that for this, like when you grease your scalp, if it does sting when you get that in your eye, and I really think that Angel Reese comment, she said it before Bryan.
Hmm.
It's like she could kind of see what was going on there. So whether you believe the grease or not, this is a big storyline with what happened in this fight for the majority draw. However, I still have Lamont Roach winning 7 rounds to 5. And drop your comments. Let us know who you had winning. Let us know how you scored it, because the official scorecards went 115, 113 to Tank, one judge. And then the other two judges had it scored as a draw, if I'm not mistaken, Bryan.
And you know, that was ultimately it. And I think we're done with the
Hair
hair
grease.
stuff for now. I'm sure there'll be some other controversy, some more unfolding as soon as we get off, because that's happened before.
Yeah.
Two judges had it 114, 114, as you mentioned. So there's a majority draw. The other judge had it for Tank. Look, I think if you're not going to score the knockdown as a knockdown, even though it should be, which we'll get back to in a second, then a draw is fine. But ultimately, the knockdown should have been scored, or the knee should have been scored. Maybe I should stop saying knockdown, but you guys get what I'm saying. Lamont Roach should have won the fight. Like if you're just scoring the bout based on what happened, I think 7-5 is fair. I probably have it 6-6, but there's a 10-8 round in there, which would imply 114, 113 for Lamont Roach. Or if I have round 9 for Tank, that would probably be 115, 112. I don't know. But Lamont Roach should have won that fight, regardless. 7-5, I think, is fair. I think 6-6 with the extra point is fair. 7-5 for Tank. I mean, I want to rewatch this again without being in the arena because you have the crowd noise and again, where the media sits, you would think that there wouldn't be too many fans around, but there were, so that could sort of influence how you're looking at something, I guess.
I think we got to go to this comment because there's a lot of this online from Champy in quotes. It was hair grease, end quote. It wasn't a knockdown. It was a slip. Lamont took a knee too. These
Who said
excuses
that?
are hilarious as
Was that
F.
going around? Lamont took a knee too. When did he do
Yeah,
that?
there's like videos and
Oh, you know
everything.
what? Actually, because but that was like, I think that was in a clinch.
Yeah, it
They
was.
got tied up, and then he just like that happens. I don't know.
There, you know what? It's so funny because people will put videos together, but sometimes there's no context. Like there were in a clinch. So like there's no context to it, and they'll be like, oh, Lamont did this. Regardless, let's get to a comment here by Mark, who said, surprised it wasn't a DQ when Calvin wiped him down. Imagine Tim Zoo went to a corner to wipe blood with Fedora.
So technically, by the law, by the rules, he should have been disqualified. Gervonta Davis, like when he goes to the corner and they wipe his eye or whatever, whatever. Like there's there's got to be another way to handle it. But like they should have scored a knockdown and he should have lost via disqualification just because of that. We're gonna get a rematch. I don't know when, I don't know where, but they both want the rematch. It's just Lamont Roach wants it next, and
As
Tank
it should be, though, as it should be.
the
Because
WBA
here,
won it
yeah,
next too, so maybe that'll win out. But Tank kept teasing that he's got something else coming. I don't know what that is. And Lamont Roach said, uh, not Lamont Roach, Shakur Stevenson said he'll fight Lamont Roach if Lamont Roach can't get the Tank fight next. And Lamont Roach said he'd do it. And honestly, I think a lot of y'all will be bored by that fight, but that'll be a
yes,
great fight.
yes. Here's the thing that I do want to say. Okay, so I'm actually a Tank fan. I think he's one of the best lightweights in the world, if not the best lightweight. I've been saying
Yeah,
that for a
yeah.
minute. I will say this though, Tank, if you don't have a rematch with Lamont Roach and your next fight isn't Shakur Stevenson or Lomachenko, I don't want to hear it.
Or Keyshawn Davis. It's not gonna be
Yes,
Keyshawn
but
Davis,
it's
but
not
or
going to be
Keyshawn
Keyshawn
Davis.
because they're not going to do that to either of those guys,
Probably not gonna
right?
be Williams Zepeda either. You know what I
No, it
mean?
can't. It has. And listen, I think Tank only has three options here that I'm okay with. This rematch with Lamont Roach, because I think Tank should avenge this majority draw,
Hmm.
or Lamont Roach wins. And I'm doing air quotes again, because technically, like, come on, let's be serious here, but not on the official scorecards. So Tank either has this rematch with Lamont Roach, or he fights Shakur Stevenson, which is the best fight to make in boxing, or we'll settle for you and Lomachenko. Okay, that's it. I don't want to see Tank with anybody else. The Bryan, like, who else could he fight if it's not those three guys?
And now you've set me up to get into my fear. The second ranked fighter by the WBA at lightweight is drumroll Floyd Schofield.
Stop it! Stop it! I swear, you guys. Do you want to see that? Do you want to
Kid
see Tank?
Austin, baby. Number 3 is Andy Cruz.
Do you think they do that? Like, do they
No,
think that,
but
like that's a good fight, but I don't think they put Andy in with Tank yet.
here's the thing. If it's Andy Cruz, I'm intrigued because I'm like, if Lamar Rose could piss off
Mm,
Tank, how good is Andy Cruz really? You know what I mean? Jake Paul was actually there, Marlon. I want to know who's this person that came into Tank's dresser. Like no one knows, none of the media knows. Um, and Tank wouldn't obviously say, and his team wouldn't say, and I couldn't find out. So they're being really tight-lipped about that. No one wants to give it up. Adam Hurley had a comment I want to get to.
Okay.
I don't even think it's a big deal. Roach is a champion, and Tank had no motivation because everybody was criticizing the fight. I do think this reinvigorated Tank a little bit. I don't know how much motivation he had going in, which is a mistake because Lamont Roach is not somebody you want to sleep on, as we knew and as we know now definitively. But Tank was saying like his retirement plans. Like we put up a video, we put up the press conference essentially, like all the different parts of it that matter, and Tank was basically like, yeah, like I want like I want like four more fights. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm hoping that one of those is Lamont Roach, one of those Shakur Stevenson, the other
Has to
two,
be.
whatever. But I think this fight, like, it seemed to reinvigorate him in a way that instead of having one foot out the door, maybe he's going to stick around for maybe through 2026. Because I feel like four more fights. If you have two more this year, which I doubt, because boxing. But if
Yeah.
you have two more this year, two next year, call it a day. Then that's it. Then fine. He's been saying he wants to work on himself, do therapy, and he feels like he can't keep that mean streak up and do therapy at the same time, which we've kind of joked about. Like, yo, Deontay Wilder started taking care of himself and they started getting knocked out. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a tough sport. Like, I feel like you can do both. It's kind of toxic to think you can't, maybe. Not toxic, but like it could be. But ultimately, like he looks around and he's like, yo, like I'm Tank. I'm the dude who knocks people out. And I feel like I'm not gonna knock people out like that if I start like, doing these other things to take care of myself, which is kind of crazy to think about.
The one thing that I will definitely say is after this fight, I kind of learned a little bit more about Tank because for a very long time I was like, who's gonna beat Tank? Who's gonna beat Tank? And on my unofficial scorecard, I saw Tank get beat. I
Same.
will say though, when we were talking about the fight, Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson, I was always leaning towards Tank. And I hate to say it, but I think Shakur Stevenson beats Tank now from what I saw because is Tank going to get to him? Now, we don't know how Shakur Stevenson would take a Tank punch, but Lamont Roach was eating those punches. But
Hmm.
at the same time, I'm kind of going with the narrative that like something was off with Tank. Tank, it just didn't seem like a regular Tank fight. Now we don't actually know. It's all speculation, and I wasn't even there. Like I'm just watching this on TV. However, I think he has to have this rematch. Like, if I'm Tank, don't go fight whoever came into your locker room. Handle this first so everyone can shut up about it. If you do, because Lamont Roach could also come back and have a different game plan and be better too, because he has a very
Sure.
high IQ. So it's not for sure or given that Tank beats him. That's not for sure. But I think the only route for him is to have this rematch, and then fight Shakur or Loma. That's it. And I don't think boxing fans want to see anything else, Brian.